Kennedy.
You might have noticed in that last clip of John Kennedy's grave here at Arlington that the visitor who was standing next to me felt it necessary to point it out. He said, "Kennedy." And that person may not even been an American for all I know. But there was something I think people around the world somehow associated with John Kennedy. Kind of like the hope, right? Something special. And it's not a real unvisited place, right? John Kennedy's grave, but it is kind of like under the radar. You really have to look to try to find it. And there's some other Kennedy graves here as well at the base of Robert Lee's old house. We've got a couple other members of the Kennedy clan kind of in a place again that may go a little under the radar. This is the grave of Robert Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1968 while running for president. All the graves out here right now have these wreaths around them, which you can imagine there's a lot of graves here. The amount of effort that it would take not only to make all those wreaths, but to go around the cemetery and place them all. And here again at the base of an old plantation house, we have the grave of Edward or Ted Kennedy. Died in 2009. We're here at the World War II monument in Washington, and after a lot of looking, Kilroy has been found. People like to find their state, but if you really look in kind of a boring spot, you might be able to find, maybe you can see there, it's Kilroy, and it says Kilroy was here. I think if you're gonna do something like that in plain sight, maybe get a little creative with the wording. They could have done Kilroy may have been here, or Kilroy might have been here, but they went with the classic interpretation. So this is about where you can find Kilroy. He's kind of near Georgia, which is near Massachusetts. Two very different places. Quick stop here in Pentagon City to take a look at this building on the right. It's the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. And in there in the hotel bar, that is where Monica Lewinsky met with Linda Tripp to talk about all the salacious details of Monica's relationship with then President Bubba Bill Clinton. And this is what that hotel looks like today. Unfortunately, I think they've redone the bar area since that time, and it kind of ruins it for a guy. Got to try and keep those things the way they were back at that time. And we've got an item of interest here. Old payphone, which has rotted away at its base and toppled over. You can just imagine all of the salacious, secretive phone calls that took place from that payphone right there. You may be able to see a few cars parked in this little parking lot at Fort Marcy Park. And this is really a small little place, but it is where the body of one Vincent Foster was found. He was a very close associate of President Bill Clinton, going way back to when they were little kids. He was also very close with Hillary. He'd worked together with Hillary at the Rose Law Firm in Little Rock. And he came here when Clinton was elected president. Vince Foster served as the deputy White House chief counsel, who was very, very close, personally and professionally, with the Clintons. And one day he was found dead in this very park. There's always been kind of some mystery around it, right? Did he just come here to do himself in because he didn't like Washington? Or was there something more going on? And he was found here as a result of something maybe he knew Maybe he was going to have to testify against the Clintons. Lots of theories, right? In any case, the site of his body, where it was found, is always described as being near the second cannon. And the first cannon is right here. This is a genuine Civil War artillery position here. Like lots of the wilderness areas around Washington, D.C., this park was once a fort during the Civil War where they had cannons like that, and these places went up really, really quickly, and then when the Civil War ended, well, they kind of went back to just being parks and stuff like that, right? There's another artillery position coming up here. This one has a sign on it, and you can see these are genuine. You can tell how they would have put up these embankments of dirt as a way of protecting these artillery positions. I can tell you where the second cannon is today. We're going to go find that right now. And there's a link in the description. You can look at the evidence yourself. Look at all the descriptions about where Vincent Foster's body was found. I have a link there where the police reports of the officers who responded that day to the park to find, to work the scene of that body. I've got their descriptions of that scene in the links, in a link down in the description, right? And they always describe it as near the second cannon, and about 20 feet to the north of it, I can see the second cannon coming up here. But the reason I kind of question its position right now is that 20 feet north of this cannon would put Vince Foster's body in a pretty weird location, especially for somebody who has done themselves in, right? It would be a strange place. Here is where the second cannon is now, and described as his body was found about 20 feet north of it, which my cell phone has north being about in that direction there, behind that large embankment. And if we look on the other side of it, it's going to be pretty steep down there, and to me this seems like a very strange place for Vincent Foster's body to be located. It is described as him being on an embankment, but something tells me that this opposite side of this big hill here is just too steep for that to be a likely spot of Vincent Foster. Here we have a marker, but unfortunately it doesn't tell us anything about what we're talking about today. So you can decide, is this the spot where Vincent Foster was kind of mysteriously found dead? Or perhaps has the cannon been moved, right? Maybe the Clintons want to throw us off a little bit, right? Make sure we don't find anything. Or maybe Vince Foster was just not happy being away from Arkansas, here in Washington, D.C., in the milieu. Did I just say milieu? That exists here, and he was driven to, perhaps, most likely, officially, take his own life by the second cannon. So that's it from Fort Marcy Park. I hope that we'll get some comments. I've had a few pirate comments, and those are always welcome. Pirate comments in any language, always appreciated, as well as those likes, and especially those subscriptions. All right, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.